Hi everyone! Welcome to my YouTube channel, Risa Philippines. So for today's video, I'm this people, the couple. So please introduce yourself to everyone.
I'm Keith Morgan Hampshire.
I'm Helyn Estrabella.
I'm from Pennsylvania, United States.
Meet each other.
We met on Filipino Cupid, which, when I saw her profile, I passed it over quite a few times. And after speaking to 4 or 5 other women, one of which was out and out scamming me from in town here at, I won't say where, she works in town in Dumaguete, and I tracked her down. I happened to be 15 years older and married than her pictures were. And ended up finally going back and looking at her profile more, and then looking at her Facebook more, and what I saw was her and her daughter. And it was not a new Facebook, it was an older Facebook. And that showed me a lot right there. There's what she had posted over the 4 or 5 years at least that her Facebook was open.
Yeah, when Trisha was
And
1 year old. I think.
So who is the one who the first move? First move.
I don't know if there was one. I know, not realizing it, I actually had fallen in love with it the moment I saw her. I kept telling people in the U.S., I said, I don't know if I'm in love with her. I know that I feel incredibly comfortable talking to her, and like I'm in comfort.
Comfort, like.
And I didn't understand it. So the first video, when we first started to chat, lasted about 30 seconds, and then the picture cut out. And the moment it cut out, I was like, oh, no, no, like that. Just come back. And she did. And luckily her boss had Wi-Fi. So she not only were, and I had free Wi-Fi on my phone, unlimited, and was not working. I was cleaning out my mother's house from her dying and getting ready to sell it, and had my time was my own, how much I spent on the house and when I would get up and do things. And I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning so that I could talk to her while she worked at the Sorry store out front. And we could talk for hours. There were times that I sat there and just watched her wash clothing for hours. And I
Pila is a
knew,
working.
yeah, I
Super
saw her, she was
hardworking.
a hardworking woman. And one of the things I realized with the scammers from watching Paul's video and others, that they don't give you ever much time, because they're actually talking to 20 or 30 people at once, and they can't give you individual time. So that alone showed me a lot. But the most telling was the picture she sent of when her daughter's hand was bitten by a rat. Where her house is near the slaughterhouse, really literally right there at the slaughterhouse. And it's a Filipino style house where the rat could get right under the door, which is a very big rat, right? And Trisha had fallen asleep with a sandwich in her hand, and the rat had bit her finger pretty badly. And I get this picture, and this was 2 weeks, maybe a month into our chatting. And when I first saw it, I was thinking, oh my goodness, here we go again. The sob story's coming. And it was and all she said was, Trisha got bit by a rat, we're on our way to the hospital, and that was it. Just like a scammer might do. But what I got back literally blew me away, because instead of getting, oh, we need this, we need that, they never ask for money outright. They always ask for something to pull at heartstrings. Or what could pull at heartstrings better than having a child bit by a rat? But instead of getting back, we need this, we need that, I got back, we're back from the hospital, and everything's fine. And I just sat there like, oh my God, I found a good one. And I did. She's everything I thought she was, and more. And then, of course, over time, she had a bad growth on her back. And I decided, when I looked at how much it was going to cost, that it was well beyond her means to do anything about it, the way your insurance is here, or your medical is here. They pay for the surgery, but none of the drugs. And she needed quite a bit of stuff, medical, for her blood. Her blood was off. I think iron level was too low, right? That's mostly because you're not eating a lot of red meat. Your iron level is very low, and she's very small. And to get this, basically, it looked like somebody had taken a tennis ball and glued it to her shoulder. And it was just a cyst, a growth, simple thing. And when she showed me that, I was like, oh, I was worried very much it was cancer. But at that point, I kind of already, I knew, but I didn't know I was in love. and decided to think, well, the money that she needed for the medical was roughly about $1,000 US. Her yearly pay was only $1,200 US. So I knew it was impossible. And it was something that was growing. It started just somewhat before COVID, right? And it was
Yeah,
small,
before COVID.
and it grew and grew, and it literally was like by anything around about that tall. And I figured, well, I can help her with it. On top of that, I can kind of use it to vet her a little bit. See if she really is who I thought she was. See if I give her the money, would she squander it? Or would she go back to work afterwards? Well, she did. She actually ended up losing her job and creating one of her own by selling pancakes. And it showed me something right there, that she wasn't about to sit on her ass and wait for money to show up from the United States. She didn't make much money off the pancakes, but she still was trying. And that showed me something again.
Yeah.
And then over and over and over again, she showed me things all through the surgery, like sending me pictures of her personal information from the doctors and pictures of her debit card and things. And I'm thinking, oh my God, a scammer would never do that. And I think the first woman I spoke to tried to get me.
First, you just think that this lady is scammer.
That, well, I thought one thing, which is somewhat true. She's a little naive when it comes to men that she doesn't know. But she's no dummy. I believe that she could have been a doctor or a lawyer if she had been offered the education. But she never got it, so she became a nanny and a cook and a maid.
Yeah, me.
And I'm hopefully will give Trisha the ability to go to school, because I'm sure she's just as smart. And hopefully that will work out well. If I can get her to not be a crazy Filipino girl. That's a bit of a chiller. But we're working on it. And we're about to have one. She's pregnant already.
Wow!
Almost 2 months.
Wow, congrats!
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't know that she's
And
pregnant.
she was all worried, like I was gonna leave her because the guy she met, who Trisha's father, left her high and dry. Showed up close to what, like 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years later, wanting to be a boyfriend again, and she's smart enough to say, keep down the road, and which is good, which is no dummy.
Wow, you're just a coming blessing.
Oh, there's so many things that I think drew us together. The yin yang symbol we were speaking of earlier, then speaking about the yin yang symbol with her on the phone, which you'd never even heard of, for at least a month or two. And then finding out her birth date and looking at our birth dates, realizing that our birth dates, as what they are literally, it look like a yin yang symbol being in the same month and exactly 2 weeks apart. Anytime my birthday's on a Sunday, her birthday's on a Sunday. Anytime mine's on a Tuesday, hers is on a Tuesday. Separated by 1 week, literally like a yin yang symbol. And it's just kind of amazing, all these little things that kept sort of pushing us towards each other. One of the things that happened, her father was murdered back when she was, I forget what you said, 14.
14 years old.
And my mother just recently died.
Yeah.
And I've never been religious, but I thought that, at first for a while I was thinking, wow, is there a God? Is he pushing us together? But it was really confusing to have this going on. And then started to think about it. I think it's more likely the spirit of her father and the spirit of my mother pushing us towards each other. And they were right. I'm flat out loving this woman. It's just ridiculous. The best person I've ever known in my life. I hope she thinks that thing about me, but I don't know.
I did.
You do. And I mean, look at her. She's gorgeous.
Yes, she's
And she can
gorgeous.
cook. We started a channel for her.
It's really hard to find a girl that, like a faithful, that like a comfortable girl. It's really hard to find.
Yeah.
So you are so very lucky to have her.
Oh, I know.
And then
I
you
know.
have something, a blessing that comes.
The very first night here,
Yeah.
she showed me again how
So
good she is.
do you have that she is pregnant? Did you have plan for that?
Sort of, but not so soon.
Ah.
I was kind of taken by surprise with that, but I take things as they are. You cannot change reality. You must just work with it. A lot of the guys that come here and get frustrated about being here or frustrated about different things, and they leave.
Yeah.
I never planned to leave, ever. I knew before I got here that I was gonna be here.
So you just you're just thinking that this is the plan that if you are going in the Philippines, you will stay here.
There was no reason for me to ever go back to the US. I have nothing back there. I have a brother who was trying to put me in jail when I left.
Oh.
He didn't get away with it because I didn't do anything wrong, but he was trying.
Why can you do that?
Oh, and stole money from me, and then said I stole money from him.
Oh.
Because my brother and his wife actually said it to me when I was there, that he is the most self-centered individual she'd ever met. I was surprised with the volleyball. Everybody was being reasonably quiet. I'm thinking, wow, this is a trip. I go to her, I said, why are they being so quiet? She goes, because they wouldn't be able to hear the announcer. That was the reason they were being quiet. And she was really surprised me. But the worst came during festival. Or was it festival or before festival? When the speakers.
The speaker?
Yeah, when did they show up?
I forgot what day it was.
But anyway, they show
It's
up with a,
almost 28th of December, like that.
they showed up with about 6 speakers the size of mini trucks,
Wow.
parked them across the street, and then played the boom-ba-da 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 music. Every now and then split off by somebody screaming, Andy! Boom-ba-da boom-ba-da boom-ba-da. Till 3:30 in the morning. So loud that I could turn the TV. Guys, come on, shush.
Just play them.
You know, the sound will be on it. Go play, kid. Go play. Kidding. Anyway, they played that till 3:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And we couldn't find, I was trying to get her to find another hotel. I was like turning the TV up to the absolute maximum setting, you couldn't even hear the sound of the TV. And somehow or another, I actually fell asleep. I have no idea how. But the next time around, we realized, I went and found a hotel nearby. So if I saw them bringing speakers again, I'd run down to the other hotel. But they never showed up again. It was just that month, November, December. December, December, guys, watch out, it's going to be extra loud. Especially if you live across the street from the barangay park. What is it? Can't tell the police they can't do anything. Along with it, that's very trashed all the time. Dirt, trash everywhere. It would blow into our parking. Other than that, it was fine. And Hermogencia wasn't too bad with some of their stuff. But typical Philippine demographics when it comes to landlords. Some things were a bit, like, they basically blew me off and said, here, go talk to the barangay about that, because our land stops here, and that other 3 feet where there's a pothole full of dirt, full of water, that's them. Try going to the police and ask them to fill in a pothole. They're gonna be like, yeah, right.
So before, what is your work? You are retired now, right?
I did a variety of different jobs in the US. I was in the military. I applied for a military retirement visa here. I was just waiting for it to finish off. Which guys will cost you about $6 grand for that altogether. Somewhere in that neighborhood, forget exactly. JRC is a great place to go to. I've done pretty good work so far, except for the 3 different people now that I'm speaking to from JRC. Every time that one of them quit, they stopped talking to me. Nobody was answering their emails. But that got figured out. And everything moved along, and we're just waiting now for the next, probably in the next 30 days I might have it in the PRA's hand now. But I thank goodness for my time in the military, they got me the ability to do that. And the military worked on a missile system. From that, and actually in one of my videos, I show my actual missile system because I actually went to the missile base I trained at, and there's a museum there, where Space Camp is, in Huntsville, Alabama. And my old system was sitting there, which is probably still being used today because it's a very simple system, and for shooting down airplanes. And shot video of that system on there along with everything else that was there, including the Apollo. They have an Apollo capsule there, or a whole Apollo rocket down there, along with a bunch of other stuff. And from that, I went on to work in a variety of jobs, but they didn't give me enough training in the military for proper electronics training. Just enough to get by with some things, and not enough to really work as an electronic tech. And went through a variety of very menial jobs until I ended up spotting this welding school on TV and just decided to go to the welding school, even though one of the people had said, I went to air-cooled tech because they were so knowledgeable. Just like that, and I thought, oh my God. But I went there and learned well. Out of the 30 people that started, only 2 of us graduated, and worked as a welder and builder of things for 30 years. I used to build trucks, and the missile system helped me do wiring on. I could do all kind of craziness with wiring and relays and things. The missile system was nothing but relays and 12-volt wiring, and do things like that. That bike over there, I've already slid the body back 4 inches to make it more comfortable for a European body. And did that very simply by pulling out 2 bolts and buying 2 U-clamps and pushing it back and bolting it down, and now it's very comfortable. But before it was like I would go through hell kicking it in reverse, and this one I took the back of the seat out so that I could sit further back. I'm going to be changing this one further and putting a car seat in there, so it actually has a back, because my back just doesn't do well. And there is a guy who had one similar to this. He has put a car seat in, so I'm waiting to do that.
So why you choose Philippines compared to other countries that you wanna go?
Well, believe it or not, I actually, over 30 years ago, had decided to go outside the U.S. to retire.
Yeah.
So I watched a video on 2 women, one living in Detroit, one living in, I think, Czechoslovakia, but I'm not sure. It was in one of the Russian-held areas. The Soviet Union still existed at the time. And the U.S. will send your Social Security check to you wherever you are in the world. Mine, and actually I send it to a U.S. bank, which I then can transfer here through Charles Schwab. Get a Charles Schwab account. Trust me, it's worth it. Because they charge you $5 every time you go to an ATM, and they give it all back. At any rate, I lost track of what I was just saying. What was the question again?
Why did you choose Philippines?
I had always thought of retiring in a place like Russia, because this woman in Russia, how much money she had versus the woman in Detroit. And the one in Detroit is living in a tiny little room, barely any heat, literally eating like dog food out of a cave because she can't afford anything else. And she was getting at the time, and this is 30 years ago, like $750 in Social Security, which is not much, especially today, nothing. The one in Czechoslovakia had a 3-story townhouse, servants, and a Mercedes. So it didn't take long to think, oh, wait a minute, there are decent hospitals there, there's decent police there, it's a safe place to be.
Yeah.
Why not? But then the Russian government fell apart, and totally the demographic of that went out the window. And I kind of thought about, damn, what am I going to do now? Because now I haven't planned for a U.S. retirement. And was looking at possibly literally jumping in a vehicle, taking off with all my stuff, and figuring out where to be on $1,200 a month for Social Security. I mean, that's literally living on the side of the road in a cardboard box or a tent. And there's a lot of those people in the United States. And continuing to have to work just to be able to do that. When I ran across a Philippine woman at a grocery store, like I've always been attracted to short Asian women, had this short little, she was as tiny as her, and started hitting on her, but she was married to a guy who brought her over as a wife, and decided, well, you know anyone I could meet? And I wasn't expecting her to introduce me to someone in Leyte, but she did.
Yeah.
Who was the scammer that scammed me for 3 years? Who she claimed was her niece. But like a good example was during Odette, I contacted her and asked her, do you know what's going on over there? And she acted like, well, what the hell should I know? I'm thinking, why wouldn't she want to know what's going on with her relatives? But I kind of figured out at that point something was up. And then after watching Paul's video and watching how they go about scamming us here, it was literally like a checklist. Everything I was seeing from the woman, over and over. And I'm just seeing things that were repeated, things like sending me the thing of her son's name and the word sick, and that's it. And a picture of him sitting on the hospital bed. And he's like, her, your daughter's like. And getting no response afterward, like contact us, oh, what's the matter? Can I help? Can I do it? No response. Until an entire day later. Because what they're doing is sitting there talking to a whole bunch of guys. They don't have time to answer your response. They go and say, Eli sick, Eli sick, Eli sick, next one,
Yeah.
Eli sick, Eli sick, Eli sick, until they get them all taken out. And then they go back the next day, oh, the answers, they probably have a little crib sheet of what they're saying to you. I mean, they go through it one at a time, they answer, and it's always just a little bit of response, not a lot. Because they got 20, 30 other guys to talk to.
Oh.
They can't give you the time, and that's a biggie right there. If you spot that, it's already a big check mark of something's up. And then within a year and a half, after what I told you about with the bicycle, I said there was money for a bicycle on his birthday, and his birthday came up a couple of times. But I didn't send anything the first time around. During Odette, I sent her enough money for buying a phone. Because the phone was washed away. So she kept giving me like, oh, my scooter's dead.
Wow.
You know. And at any rate, when I decided to use the money for the scooter to somewhat vet her a little bit and to see some more information, and I can use photographs. It's something I've been doing for years with people online. I'll tell them, okay, I want you to send me a picture, but send me a picture of you holding something, but holding it upside down. This is not a natural photograph.
Yeah.
Nobody really, they hold sodas this way. And generally most people will hold things, even a book, more than likely, upward. So if they send me a picture, the only way that they can have it is accidental, so I know it's a fresh photograph. With the kid, I said, I want to see a picture of the kid riding the bike.
Yeah.
And that's where it should be, where he suddenly went from yay high to that high in a year and a half. Well, that's not possible. Nobody grows that fast. There's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
And that gave it away quite a bit. And I basically dropped her like a rock. I went to Filipino Cupid, spoke to 5 or 6 others, so I finally found Helyn, and then the conversation changed.
Yeah.
How she spoke, what she spoke about, how much time she would give me, everything changed.
So, what is your first reaction when you see your husband at the airport? What is your reaction?
I don't know
It
what's
looks
my
like he's
reaction
starting.
because
Oh, I was in bad shape when I can show you different photographs of
oh
like,
my god, what happened to your face? Why are you so thin?
yeah, so I wasn't eating, I wasn't
So
eating,
you
I
do a
wasn't eating
video
right.
call before you are chubby.
Well, first I
No,
was
not really
chubby, but
chubby.
during the time frame that we were speaking, I stopped eating correctly,
Oh.
not realizing I was doing it. And my body started to consume itself because of my gastric bypass. You have to eat a lot of protein. Well, when we were first chatting, I was eating like a
So
ton
she
of
didn't
protein.
know that you're just gonna diet?
Well, it wasn't that I was dieting, it's that I wasn't consuming enough protein. And protein is very important when you have had a gastric bypass because your stomach is so small,
Yeah.
it's hard to get enough in, which is why you gotta buy protein powders or protein drinks. But you can't get protein drinks here. You can get the powder here in New Spaghetti. There's a place called Wise something or other, I forget. But they have all that stuff, most of the stuff out of Australia. And it's reasonable in price. They all have exercise equipment. But it was a little tricky to find. Even finding it,
It's
I
really
couldn't
hard to
figure out
find.
how to get in it. Because there's a sign, but there's no entrance, there's no storefront. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, looking around, going, what's going on? And realizing there's one of the stores is an opening where you go inside, and it's like a mall inside. And you barely notice it's there. And you go in and around the back, and that's where they're at. But there's nothing to direct you in there, which is typical of the Philippines here, that you sort of got to figure it out on your own. You know, where things you find, things you give up on finding suddenly just drop in your lap, like the place to teach her to drive, just stumbled across it. You know,
So you've been LDR by months,
LDR.
long distance relationship.
Oh yeah,
How
so
many months
April
you been long distance
through
relationship?
November.
November, and
Yeah.
then you came here.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 months. So you
15th of April.
came here in
And we
November.
haven't been apart a day since. And I've never wanted to be around somebody so much in my life. Just
So
to
it's
sit
just
there.
only your wife that you're just stalking the other girls since you've been
Since I've been
communicating
here,
with each
I haven't
other.
spoken to anybody. I'm out to say hello.
So did you see her family?
I met her mother and her sister.
What did they
Her
say,
brother.
the parents of this, your wife?
Well, her father's gone. Her mother lives here in town, so it's her 1, 2, 3 brothers.
Yeah.
And her
Like a
sister's here
brother
right
and
now,
a
but
sister.
in the process of heading up to Manila. She's also pregnant, but a few months further along. And her brother's wife. We won't talk about her. Part of the reason the girl's a bit out of control is her brother's wife, who isn't, in fact, she even made a joke to me about money early on that showed me who she really was. She was fishing. And she made it out like a joke, but it was really intention as a fishing expedition to see if I'd bite. But I knew right away something wasn't right. I'm no dummy.
It's really important because you accept her having already a baby, a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was
that's
looking for
really super
somebody
lucky.
who didn't have children, because I didn't want to have, and I knew I didn't have a lot of money, and I didn't want to deprive
Because that
children
all,
of not having enough.
yeah, because that all men are accept the girl that having a child already in the first. And you're a very kid person because you accept.
You know, the primary reason I passed over her profile was because she did have a child. And I was trying to find one without a child. And what I kept finding was I had to drop down into the 20-year-old range to find anyone.
Yeah.
The only one that I ever saw online was on the Filipino Cupid show, who was in her 30s. And a little
So you
woman,
mean-
I don't remember what her name was, but I liked her. But there was no way to find out who, any information to get to talk to her. And finally gave up on the 18-year-olds because I'm finding that, number one, the one that was the guard at the Honda dealer was not 18.
Yeah.
She was like 35 and married.
Yeah.
She was fishing the internet, basically trolling for guys to send her money. And one of the things I found was a benefit to vet somebody was I offered her a gift. And once if the gift shows up,
So
under her name.
you have first communication in Facebook. You have no apps.
No, we went through Filipino Cupid and then started talking on Facebook.
Okay.
Which both of us just dropped our accounts right afterward. We didn't go back. I actually went back at one point to see some of what her early conversations was, but she'd already shut hers down, so I couldn't see them. Because I wanted to see what was the date we actually did start talking. I know it was close to the 1st of April, but we don't know for sure. So we're just calling it the 1st of April. Which in the US we call April Fool's Day. I wasn't a fool.
So what can you say about? You can say the people here in Dumaguete.
Interesting. I have yet to go a day without laughing at some absurdity. One of the days that I was very upset about something, I don't even remember what, and was kind of thinking sort of, and like I said, I'm not religious, but I'm kind of like, hey, I need something to laugh at. And when I went to pull out of the driveway, here comes a bike down the road with 2 guys on it, and the second guy is holding like 6 pieces of 20-foot reed bar dragging behind the bike. And I just cracked up, because in the US you never see that.
Are you hang out? Are you going anywhere?
A little bit, but the money's been tight, so because I spent too much buying 2 trikes and a generator and a refrigerator, and I had $5,000 that I had to put
And the
out for my
apartment
visa.
is already have things, right?
Huh?
And the apartment is no things already, so you buy already things inside the house.
Well, I already had some stuff, but I just don't have enough furniture. Like I shipped see the wooden cabinet here? I shipped 3 of those.
Oh, yeah.
My mother collected a lot of old antiques, but most of them I couldn't ship. They were just either too big and too brittle to ship. But the wooden boxes, which are basically foot lockers,
Yeah.
I filled with stuff and then wrapped them up in cardboard and shipped them. So I basically kind of used them as a buy box.
So you ship all things in the US and then the Philippines all together. So you pay them how much? You pay them
Almost $6,000.
$6,000.
I shipped close to 50 boxes altogether.
So
Probably
it just-
actually a little bit more than 50 boxes.
And then you wait
And
for
only lost
2
one.
months. You wait for 2 months and then the things all be together when they
2
arrive.
to 3 months, the things started showing up, a little here, a little there. And there's still 1 box that never showed up.
Oh.
There is,
4 months.
my kitchen knives were
4
swiped.
months?
I had Gordon Ramsay level kitchen knives, including my grandmother's knives and my mother's knives and my father's knives that I shipped in a box that I just recently got, and all the knives are gone. every damn one of them. I had them all wrapped together in a bundle, and they took the whole damn thing. There was even a little box for keeping eggs in that I paid a few bucks for at a Walmart, and was using as I went across America, as I was camping, because I camped 4,000 miles across America, living out of a Prius and towing a trailer, which is all on my blog. I'm lost in translation, but you spell I'm with an I-M, not an L-M, not an I-M. I see a little brown chihuahua, that's me. And blogged all the way across the country, blogged cleaning out my mother's house, blogged some here already. And just recently, and I couldn't have picked a better name for the channel, being lost in translation, because so many things are lost in the translation between English and how you think here. And a good example was the one the other night where I told her to get 3 toppings on pizza, and I come back to find she ordered 3 pizzas.
That's just me.
Because she didn't understand, and she was like, "Oh, I want 3 pieces," but she never said, "Oh, you want 3 pieces?" I told her to get 3. Pizza comes with 3 toppings, and let the girl pick the 3 toppings she wanted. But that video is on my channel, and it's called 3 Mules for Sister Sarah.
So that's reason you just.
And it shows the pizza, and the pizza, frankly, is a place called the Hideout. It's in Valencia, and it's run by a guy from Chicago who makes pretty close to American food, and is pretty good at quality of the food as well, along with the cleanliness there, which I don't quite trust much of any of the Philippine stores that are cooking food yet. I think the only thing I've had so far was the chicken we bought the other night, and that was okay. But I'm
So you
super
just
hesitant
stay
to
here
try
in
anything.
Dumaguete. You will not back in the U.S. anymore.
No, I have no intention of ever going there. There's nothing there for me. If I'd have left my tools there, my brother would have stolen them all.
Yeah.
He said he would ship them, but he wouldn't. He would literally just keep them. And I have probably $30,000 worth of American tools, all snap-on tools and welding machines, and literally gave away 2 ATVs and a truck and a building to a guy who helped me at the end when my brother threw me out of the house 3 days before I was done building my trailer, which if you look at my blog, I built a custom-built trailer for towing behind a Prius. Got 28 miles to the gallon going 4,000 miles across America.
Yeah.
And he helped me finish it, and we're friends on Facebook still.
Yeah. So tomorrow is Valentine's. So where do you
Oh.
go?
I've seen the Valentine thing, but I'm terrible remembering holidays. So.
Valentine's for couple. So where
You know-
you gonna
you know
go for
where
a date your wife?
You know who invented Valentine's Day? A florist. A florist invented Valentine's Day to help sell flowers. Boy, did he pick a perfect one, because he sells lots of flowers. But if you look back historically, that's where Valentine's Day comes from. I gave her this recently. This I bought in Arizona. A little piece of turquoise. And a lot of the jewelry I just actually found in the jar there. Earrings there, the right color to go with that. That my mother made by hand. She made handmade jewelry. I brought, like I showed you before, upstairs, all the little bits and pieces she used to make stuff.
Yeah. So you have a YouTube channel, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, please promote your YouTube. Maybe my
I
subscribers.
already did that. I'm lost in translation. But you spell the I'm a number 1 and an M. You'll see a little brown Chihuahua dog, who was my dog that I had to give away before I came here. And I had planned to remove him until I ended up being murdered by the people I gave him to 2 days after giving him away. So he's never going to leave that picture, unfortunately. The only regret, pretty much the really only regret for coming here was losing that dog.
Yeah.
Spent 2 years training him from being a total BSC Chihuahua, that's just crazy, to being one of the best trained little dogs you'll ever meet, and people were shocked at how well trained he was. And then having to give him away because of the paperwork to try and get him here was a nightmare. It's the entry permit, that's the hard one. Every time I fill it out, it didn't like something. Fill it out again, it would create another document. Fill it out again, it would create another document. You could never go back in and just fix what wasn't wrong. It's just the way that their online is set up. After 20 or 30 documents, trying to delete them and start over, they'd always come back. I never knew which one was the right one to fix. finally gave up and gave him away. My only real regret.
So
he's
please
amazing.
guys subscribe to the YouTube of Sir Morgan. You can see more videos there on his YouTube.
Yeah, I have
So
about
please
40
watch
videos.
and subscribe please. So thank you for
And
having
also Helyn has
yeah,
a
so
small
please
channel.
promote your YouTube channel.
Helyn Filipino Cooking.
He is
Which
the
we
one
haven't had
who made
time.
it, and I don't have time yet to make a video while I cook.
Yeah, we made one.
It's really nice to make one like a
Confident.
couple YouTube
Yeah,
channel
well, we
like
didn't
that.
have time, and originally May was going to interview her, and I wanted to get one up before May videoed her so that the information would get out there, that she has one that maybe people will watch. And she cooked chicken adobo.
Yeah, the best in Philippines, adobo.
Oh yeah, really good. She's a very good cook. And she cooked it in about a 150-year-old Dutch oven that I shipped from the United States.
Yeah. So, thank you so much for having my YouTube channel, both of you.
Yeah, and we made a long video, didn't we?
Yeah, it's a video.
I was very
I'm a bit of a
talkative,
marquise, Joe, excuse me.
very
You're so
You're
super
words I know.
talkative.
Which in the U.S. that means you cluck like a chicken. I don't know what you're talking about.
Martis.
So that's all for today's video, and thank you very much for
Oh, nice meeting you, and you
yeah,
have a
thank
good
you so
day.
much. Thank you so much. So that's all for today's video. Bye bye. I hope you like this video and give thumbs up and give